Hello and welcome to episode 50 of Stitched in Sweden. I'm Maria and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as mmonska. The show notes for this week can be found at stitchedinsweden.blogspot.com and you can find links to what I talk about there. So, I am back after a 2-month or so break. I don't remember exactly the last time I podcasted, but it was a while ago. Originally I thought I might podcast in Colorado this summer, but I did not bring my recording device, so that didn't happen. So I thought this week I would jump in and give you a little update on what I've been working on, and then kind of end the podcast with an overview of what I did this summer. So something I did not do this summer is knit, and I would say, well, I was tempted to say that that's unusual for me, but then as I was thinking about it, I realized that actually I don't tend to knit that much during the summer in general. I think last summer was a bit of an exception, partially because I had the podcast going, but also because I was in Stockholm and I didn't have a sewing machine. And in general, in years past, or a couple of years I guess only, knitting seems to go on hold for the summer and I pick up sewing a lot more. So, doesn't mean that I'm not going to start knitting again. I can start to feel it creeping back into my life now that it's getting a little bit cooler here already in Stockholm, and actually I don't really know if it's getting cooler, but it might just have been this cold the whole time. Anyway, I'm sitting here with a blanket on my lap. So it's a bit of a contrast from 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 30 degrees Celsius, or whatever, in Colorado this summer. So, let's jump right in, because I did start knitting a new project a couple of days ago, and I'm really happy with how it's going so far, so I thought I could share that with you right now. This is an upcoming, well, it's a current design project for me, and it will be a pattern upcoming. I have not written it out at all yet, but so far it's very basic. It will be a triangular shawl, and there will be a sort of lace detail on the edge, but it won't be super lacy, so we will see. I have an idea of what it will be, but I haven't actually knitted it out yet. So here it is so far. I am finding myself really drawn to these kind of, I don't know if it's like, I don't know what color it is exactly, if it's considered a mousy gray brown or what it is, but grays that lean brown or browns that lean gray. So before I have said, maybe, I don't know if I have mentioned it actually, I think I have, that I really don't like brown. It's just not a color that I'm drawn to. And lately I have been seeing brown kind of creeping its way into my life in the form of this type of brown, which is sort of grayish brown, both of the lighter stripe and the darker stripe. I'll show you the balls of yarn because you can maybe see them a little bit better too. The dark stripe is this, which is Madeline Tosh Merino Light in the Whiskey Barrel color, and this was leftovers that my friend gave me. She knit a hat, I think, out of this, and on the screen actually it's looking pretty chestnutty brown, I would say. I'm not sure, but there's definitely some blue in there you can see, And I think that this brown leans more towards gray rather than red or yellow. And that is the color brown that I like. The lighter grayish brown is this beautiful yarn, which came from my friend Elena. She gave me while we were visiting her in Oregon this summer. And this is very similar to Tosh Merino Light, except that it is a silk and merino yarn, and this comes from Oregon. Actually, it was purchased in Oregon, but it is made in Washington, or dyed in Washington, and this is called Alpha B yarn. I looked, and it doesn't seem like she has a website. I'm assuming it's a she, but it might not be. It doesn't look like this company has a website, but you can find it on the Knit Pearl website, which is a yarn shop in Portland. And this yarn is dyed in Vancouver, Washington, which is right across the border from Portland, Oregon. So it's called Single Silk B, 70% superwash merino, 30% silk, approximately 437 yards for 100 grams. And this color is Jeremy. And it's just a really pretty gray that I guess might be a warm gray because it's sort of leaning towards brown color. But it's really a beautiful color and it's really nice to knit with. So the final skein is this little mini skein that I have left, little ball of yarn, which is the Silk Singles from the Wool Barn, which is a very similar base to this one here. And I just have a little bit of this left. I will need to see if I can get some more. But I just saw these three together and I thought they would make a really nice shawl project. So I picked up the needles and suddenly, even though I haven't really had any design ideas in my head for a while, suddenly these three together, I just had something in my head and I knew exactly what I needed to do. So I picked up the needles and cast on after 2 months of really not knitting at all. I did bring my needles with me to Colorado and I brought a little bit of yarn, I think like 2 skeins or 3 skeins, and I didn't knit at all. So that's how it is sometimes. But anyway, I'm enjoying knitting again. I'm finding that I'm a little bit out of practice in terms of my ability to knit for long periods of time. My wrists are getting a little bit sore, and it's kind of weird to think that you could be out of shape for knitting, but yeah, I'm gonna go with it. So I've just been knitting a bit here and there, mostly in the evenings when Thomas is back from work. Then I will knit with him on the couch, watching a movie or something, just hanging out, and in the day I've been sewing. So that is the only project that I have going for knitting. Otherwise, in terms of projects that I still have on the needles, which are unfinished, I do have the Timeless Henley still on the go. I didn't bring that with me to the US, but I did bring it with me on a different trip, which I'll talk about somewhere on the end, but I didn't work on it at all, is the main point. And I'm pretty sure I haven't even taken it out of the bag for 2 months, and I think that I still have some sleeve to knit. And I'm remembering sort of that maybe I knit some sleeve and it was too small on the second sleeve, so I might be ripping back a bit first before I am working on that again, but we will see. I would like to have that finished, and there's really not much left, so I should probably just pull it out and do that, but I've been busy with other things. So this summer I went back to Colorado, and I have a sewing machine in Colorado too, actually. It is a Janome My Style 100, and I got it for my birthday when I turned 21, I think, from my parents. And in the summer I did quite a bit of sewing. One of the biggest projects, I guess, was some cushions that I made for my friend's tiny house. She has been building a tiny house with her dad for the past year and a half or so, I would say. And she asked me if I could make some cushion covers for basically one piece of furniture that will be in the house, which I don't know if it's really furniture, but basically a window seat and the dining room table. The table will fold down from the wall, and these cushions will be part of the window seat. And that was quite a big project. Usually I've never sewn with upholstery weight fabric before, so that was different. It was just a lot of handling of like big pieces of fabric that were heavy, and it was hot. And I made all of the piping along the edges, the orange piping you can see. I made all of that, which was my first time doing piping, and I've never made cushions before, so it was basically new for everything. They have zippers so that you can theoretically take the cushions out and wash the covers. There's no way that those cushions are ever going to come out of those covers, because it took me, Thomas, and my sister sitting on top of the cushions and shoving them into the covers in order to get them on. It was a tight fit. Otherwise, I did a little bit of sewing for my mom. I made her a skirt and hemmed a couple of things for her. And then the main project that I've been working on, which if you follow me on Instagram you have already seen, that I have delved into the very deep rabbit hole of bra making. And it's amazing. I've been a little bit unsure and hesitant as to how to share this on the podcast, because up to this point it has been mostly a knitting podcast, but I figure that perhaps if I am doing things besides just knitting, you may be interested in them as well. Even if you're not interested in making bras per se, you might be interested in some of the techniques if you like sewing, and just if you're interested in construction and how things fit and stuff, you might find it interesting. So I think that I will put bra making in the podcast and on my Instagram feed. I'll try to have it all in like one section, so if you want to skip it or whatever, then you can. But that is what I've been doing a lot of this summer, so I'm going to share it. It might be interesting to some of you how I could possibly get into bra making, because it seems like kind of a random thing, or I thought it was a random thing. I've seen craftsy classes before for bra making and kind of looked at them and wondered, like, who would want to do that? That seems very strange. And then, I don't know what it was exactly, but all of a sudden I had a very strong desire to make bras. And so I started looking at blogs and just kind of exploring this whole different world of bra making, which I didn't know existed. And it's pretty amazing. I'll show you the first bra that I made, and now when I look at it, I'm still really proud of it, but it has like some major flaws, or just I am so surprised with myself how much I have improved since I made this first bra, so that's really encouraging to see. But here it is. I'll show you. And I think part of the reason why this is a little bit awkward for me, all of a sudden it got sunny. Part of the reason that this is a little bit awkward, and maybe it will be less awkward in the future, is that I've worn these now, so it's kind of like I'm showing you my underwear, which just seems really strange. I think in the future I maybe won't wear the bras that I finish until I've shown them to you, so then it's kind of like not my underwear yet. It's still underwear, so I'm just trying to justify it in my head. Anyway, you may have seen this on Instagram, and this is the first bra that I made. I really love the lace. It's really pretty, which I bought from the tailor-made shop on Etsy from a kit. This is like a whole new thing to try to figure out how to show you. And this is the Marlboro bra, which is a pattern by Orange Lingerie, and she has a whole blog. If you're at all interested, you should start reading that probably. So some of the things about this bra which make me look at it now and think like, how could I have done that, is that on the inside, all the seams are exposed and raggedy, right? Because I had no idea how to make the lining. So there's a lining fabric and then the outer fabric. I didn't know how to make a non-exposed seam on the lining, and since then I've learned that. The other thing is you can see here when I was sewing the channeling for the underwire, it's in this dark thread. And since then I have learned that you can put a different color thread in your bobbin and in your spool thread so that you could have a different color on either side. And the same thing like with this part. See how you can just really see these threads and how like they're so wonky because I had no experience sewing straight lines on elastic, which was really hard at first. Anyway, in general, I'm still really proud of this bra and I will continue to wear it. And I do wear it. That's one of the other things one of the things I really like about bra making is that so far it is my most me-made worn object ever. Once you get the fit down, it's really amazing, and suddenly you have, or for me anyway, I have bras which fit me better than any bra I have ever bought at a store before. So that's really amazing. And in general, they're like a pretty low cost investment, and especially compared to ready-to-wear bras, and they also are not that much of a time investment. So although it is like pretty specific skills for sewing them, you basically go through this step-by-step process, which is very laid out and clear, clear what needs to happen in a specific order in order to make this bra come together. There's really no guesswork about it. And then suddenly, like, you have something that fits you that you can wear that's amazing. So here is another, it's the same pattern that I made, the Marlboro bra. And this one is in a white fabric. And this was like maybe the second one that I made. And although there's some problems with it, which, not to get into too much detail, but it squishes my left side in a weird way because I think I messed up cutting it partly. This one has fully enclosed seams, so you can see that the seams are really nice and smooth. They're closed off, so there's no raw edges. Also on the sides here, every part of it is finished on the inside and on the outside. So even from number 1 to number 2, that was a major improvement. And the thing is with bra making is that you have a 1/4 inch seam allowance for most things, which is pretty small, especially if you're used to sewing garments, which I'm not that used to sewing garments, but in garment sewing usually you have, I think 5/8 inch seam allowance, which is quite a bit bigger. And in bra making, you're sewing with stretchy fabrics, and a lot of it is on the curve, and it's kind of intimidating. So the thing is that it when you have the right tools, part of it is that you have to make sure that you have the right needle for your machine. Otherwise, it's a disaster. I know, from experience. But if you have the right tools and everything, you can really improve your sewing skills, which is really amazing, I think, because it forces you to be really precise. And I can see from just my first bra to this one, which I made yesterday, how much my precision and sewing skills have improved. So this is a bra that I made yesterday. It has straps, but it's a little bit different style. And it's a foam cup bra, as you can obviously see. It's like an 1/8 inch, oh, that might have been my microphone, 8-inch foam, which is called cut and sew foam. Anyway, yeah, so I think that this turned out really pretty, and I really like it also. And it's just way more precise. And my sewing is improving a lot, and I think that's a really amazing thing. Here's the inside, if you're curious. So I think that's what I'll show you for bra making today. There will be more in the future because, yeah, I'm obsessed. It's official. The next one I'm planning is out of this black lace, which is really interesting lace. It's really flat in texture. I don't know if you can get that across the screen, but it's a firm lace, and I think it will make a really interesting looking bra. So I'm sure I will share that with you in the future. That's bra making. If you're interested, I would be happy to talk to you about it. You can check out the Craftsy class. I'm a Craftsy affiliate, so if you click on the link through my blog, then I get a little kickback from that, and that just helps support me in the podcast. If you're interested in bra making, I can recommend the Craftsy class by Beverly Johnson. The first one that you want to take is bra making, construction, and fit. Otherwise, in terms of sewing plans that I have, I went to Fancy Tiger Crafts in Denver. I got some shirting fabric, which is this lovely chambray dot fabric that I'm planning to use to make a button-down shirt, which will be in a similar style to most button-down shirts like I'm wearing now, except I think it will be only a 3/4 or half button-down. I don't know what that's called. Anyway, I have a pattern, and I just need to lay it out and tape it together and cut it out, and then I might get going on this today, because right now bra making is on hold because I don't have any more underwires. I'm just a little hesitant to cut into this because I don't have muslin fabric. I really don't want to mess this up, and I'm not sure how the pattern is going to fit me exactly, so what I might do is get the pattern all cut out and then lay the pieces over a shirt like this one or something that I know that fits me, and see how the pieces compare in size to this, so then I can get a feeling for if I need to make some adjustments right off the bat. Still not super great at sewing garments, but I'm definitely looking to improve, and yeah, bra making is amazing. Again, it's like low time investment, low money investment. You get an amazing garment that fits you really well. Oh yeah, so I was talking about, sorry, haven't podcasted in a while. I was going to say some of the reasons why I got into bra making, because it seems like kind of a random thing. So in the summer, I was really trying to think about what it is that I could make which would really add something to my wardrobe. And although I do think that I can make some more clothing, like shirts and things, which could be a good staple in my wardrobe, I was trying to think of things which I am lacking. So currently, I'm not lacking in sweaters. In the fall, I tend to wear some more shirts like this, and all of this is in combination with jeans usually. So in the deep winter, or in February, March, which I consider more spring-ish, but it's still very cold here, I wear more of my hand knit sweaters, which are usually a little bit thicker and warmer. So I have plenty of sweaters, which is also part of the reason why my knitting has been a little bit on hold lately, because I've been trying to think, what do I actually need in my wardrobe? I have a lot of shawls, a lot of sweaters, I have plenty of mittens. What I came up with was bras, and that is something which was actually very embarrassingly lacking in my wardrobe. This is like really embarrassing to admit, but I had about 2 bras that I wore consistently, which is pretty disgusting because they didn't get washed very often, and they were old. So yeah, that's about the detail I'll go into, but anyway, so it's really nice to be able to add something to my wardrobe, which I really needed, and fits really amazingly, and I can pick the design of them and the colors and things like that, and they're really enjoyable to make, so that is sort of how that happened. Alright, I think that is probably enough bra talk for one episode. There won't be that much, I don't anticipate there being that much discussion about bras in future episodes, but just because that's mostly what I've been working on now, I had a little backlog to share with you. But yeah, I also made my mom a bra. Okay, done. So I think maybe now I will talk a little bit about this week in Stockholm and just kind of actually these past 2 months, what I've been up to. I didn't share very much what I was doing on Instagram while I was in Colorado. I don't think I shared anything actually. And I have kind of a, I don't know what I would call it, but I'm not sure exactly how much of my life outside of knitting that I want to share on social media. It's just kind of a personal choice that I sort of keep that part of my life more private. Most of my life while I'm living in Stockholm is school and knitting and sewing, so there's not a whole lot other than that to share. In Colorado, first I went to Oregon, and I went to my sister's graduation from the University of Oregon, which was really great, and my whole family was there, including my grandparents on both sides, and it was just a really nice time. It was fun to meet some of her friends, and yeah, just be there to celebrate with her for her graduation. The week before she graduated, I met up with, Thomas was with me the whole time, by the way, and we met up with my friends from school, and they live in Independence, Oregon, which is a very small town, kind of near Salem. And so we spent some time with them for about a week, and it was just a really great time because I haven't seen them now for 2 years or so. Flew back to Colorado, and basically days there were spent trying to stay out of the heat. It was very hot. So I did a lot of sewing inside in the cool part of the house. And we did some hikes early in the morning to try to avoid the heat, and we did some hikes farther up in the high country to try to escape the heat a little bit. And some mountain biking and just spending time with my family, which was really a lot of fun. I hadn't been back to the US for a year and a half, so it was really nice to be back and just to have some time to relax. And I also got the chance to visit my friend Nikki in Montana. She is living there now, and she's the one who's building the tiny house. The tiny house is in Colorado, but she's living in Montana right now. So I had the chance to visit her. We had a really great little long weekend, ate lots of good food, and just spent time together, which was a great trip. So other than that, in terms of the US, there's not a whole lot else to report on. It was just kind of daily life and enjoying being on a break from school. When we returned from the US, we went pretty much directly on the night train up to the north, and we went up to Jämtland, which is like, if you took Sweden, which is kind of long and skinny as a country, Stockholm is about here. Well, it would be opposite for you. Anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. Stockholm would be about here, and there's still, I would say Stockholm might be like a quarter of the way up Sweden or even less, and then there's still like a whole lot more of Sweden left. And we drove, well, it's about an 8-hour drive. We took the train. So we left around 9 p.m. and we arrived around 7:45, I think, in the morning, the next morning. And it wasn't moving the entire time. We did a lot of stops, and one stop was quite a bit longer. I don't know, we might have stopped for an hour or something. I was asleep. But basically it's a night train, and we had beds. I've never been on a night train before, and so that was kind of cool and Harry Potter-esque. So we went on this train trip, which is an 8-hour drive, and just to give you an idea of the distance, and it's about only halfway more to the top of Sweden that you could possibly go, if that makes sense. So Sweden is a very long and skinny country. Up there we went to the family house, which is near a ski resort, so I refer to it as kind of the winter house. It's a little cottage in the woods, and it's really beautiful in the summer. I've been there only once before, at Easter at the end of April, 2 years ago, I think, and it was really nice to be there in the summer. We went on a lot of hikes. There's just beautiful landscape around there, kind of rolling hills, and there's a couple of more mountainous hills, but it doesn't really compare to the Rocky Mountains in terms of height of the mountains, but it's still a very beautiful landscape. And it's really close to the ski resort Åre, if you have heard of that, or if you're familiar with Swedish country, I guess. And yeah, we just had a really great time there, relaxing. Thomas's older brother was there with his kids and his partner and Thomas's parents. And basically it was just another week of relaxing and enjoying the wilderness, I guess. After we came back from the winter house, we were back. I was back home in the apartment for about a week. Thomas has been working, and I've been making bras. And then on the weekend, he went on a little bit of it was a boys' trip. I was specifically not invited to the western coast of Sweden, and he ran a race, a 10K there with his friends. And so I decided to head out to the archipelago and go to the summer cottage, which is a tiny house on an island out in the archipelago. And you take a bus, I take a bus trip there, and then a ferry over to the island. And there's no cars on the island, and no running water at their house. So it's kind of like glamping, I would say. But I went there with the primary goal to pick blueberries. So I picked a lot of blueberries. Probably 5 liters. Yeah. So far I have washed them and put them in the freezer. And I'm planning on making some jam maybe tomorrow. So that should be exciting. I've never made jam before, but I'm hoping that I don't screw up miserably, because that would be really sad. But maybe I'll keep some of them. I don't think I can really mess up that badly. I might keep some of them aside to make smoothies with, or have on my oatmeal or something else. So that is pretty much my summer. And I have about, now it's about 3.5 weeks left until school starts again. And I will spend that sewing and knitting and relaxing, making jam. I started my bread sourdough starter again a couple of days ago. We had to let it go over the summer because we didn't have anybody to monitor it, and it was a little bit on the ripe side, so I don't really know what happened to it, but I threw it away. Anyway, I started it up again, so we will have some more bread soon. And otherwise, I am just enjoying the time that I have free from school and trying to make the most of it. So I'm very happy to be back and posting again on Instagram. I've kind of set myself a goal to post every day this week to just kind of get back into it. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. I think that's it for this week. So I hope your summers have been just full of knitting if you like doing that, or sewing, or just that you've been able to take a bit of a break. So until next time, happy knitting, happy sewing.